Hello and good evening. It is December 1st already. Welcome to A Beer in a Conversation. I am Music Monk ATL. This is my brother Rashid, and this is our host, Brother Larry Hodges, popping in on the Zoom unexpectedly, clean, doing this thing, chopping it up. So we're here, you're there, so technically you're outnumbered. So this is our show today. This is what happens when you switch it up at the last minute. This is our show.
I appreciate y'all letting me be a guest, man. I'm very excited.
Hey man, next time it's a fine. It's a fine. We're gonna do you like James Brown. It's a fine next time.
Exactly. Excited, man. We've had a lot of interesting content with especially with the inclusion of politics lately. I mean, huge election coming up. We don't really have to get into that per se, but I'm very, very excited about what we're doing here. And I know that it's going to be a success, and it has been a success. So just let me know. I'm ready to go.
All right. So I think it's kind of hard to say the elephant in the room. I know we didn't do a show last week, guys, so we definitely missed talking to you all. I hope everyone had a safe and fulfilling and satiating holiday. I hope I hope you were turkeyed out, had all your stuffings, all that good stuff. I hope it was safe for you all. But we do live in the Black Mecca, the metropolis. And, it just seems like everything kind of flows in our direction for us to kind of siphon through and really, really say, like, what is the pulse of what's going on in Black America, right? So, and I think we don't, I'm pretty sure we don't take that lightly. So, Stephen A. Smith. I feel like you and Stephen A. would get along, though, like on some real shit.
You think me and Stephen A. would?
I feel like because you're not going to have no filter. And I think he's used to people kind of having like a filter. He's used to being like the most braggadocious in the room. So I feel like when you walk in with your plaits and your Jesus and your Jesus chain and you coming with the GOP, he ain't gonna really know what to do with you. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He ain't gonna know what to do with you.
Because I'll be a little bit more direct.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's no reason to hide what you are, who you are, what you stand for. The difference is that I'm where I am because I want to be, and he is, in my opinion, he's bought, and so when we get talking about LeBron,
$16 million a year.
Yeah, he's very much bought, and I mean, there is one striking similarity that he has to you, though. He used really big SAT words.
Yes. And you know what? I have to be honest. Over the years of watching him, I have looked up some words immediately when he's used them. And, I'm like, I'm definitely adding this to my lexicon. You know what I mean? And and it works. But it's all about being able to do it in a way where it's just a part of your natural, like your natural dialect or vernacular. You know what I mean? Like when you just do it, like when you expeditious with it. And tip my boy, you know what I'm saying, like in spirit, but you know what I'm saying, like it does sound a little forced. So I just try to make it seem like I'm like this is who I always am. You know what I mean?
And you're very right. You do it much more smoother, and it just flows.
I'm really smooth with it. Yeah.
Rashid is more like Max Kellerman. Like how when you would see Stephen A. and Max Kellerman together, it's like Max Kellerman is clearly too intelligent to be on that show.
I'm like, I make sure, like, I'll try to make, like, is this the right, like, I'd be asking him, like, did I say that right? You know what I'm saying? So, no. I think it's a beautiful thing the way as a brotherhood, we all just kind of feed off each other and, like, look up to each other in various ways, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And I think because of this brotherhood, we can look at someone like Stephen A. and say, damn, bruh, where's that same energy for Jerry Jones?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I would like to say this. Just to kind of, there's the big elephant in the room. He was 14, Little Rock 9. And I think that, golly, I mean, I think there's such thing as white guilt. I think it does exist. And I cannot ignore while we just found out this information about the Little Rock Nine and whatnot and what he does, I don't think we can ignore the fact that he's done a lot for some troubled and bad boy black athletes in terms of not just making sure that they got paid well, but also, I mean, them boys got in a lot of trouble, man. A lot of them Cowboys got in a lot of trouble. He got them out of a lot of trouble. And when you're 14, man, I'm not excusing anything that people do. But when you're 14 years old, you take on pretty much the identity of what your parents take on. And I think that that racism was very much a part of the culture at the time that he was 14. Because what is he, 80 years old?
He's 80. He's 80.
I mean, that's a tough sell. You know what I mean? And so segregation was the lay of the land. Racism was the lay of the land. And while I think that we've progressed beyond it, I formal apologies, and I guess I need y'all's opinion on that. I mean, how do you feel? Is a formal apology done? Has he not done enough as an individual to show that he is in alignment with? Deion Sanders got 35 million. I think he was the highest paid. Let me just let y'all do y'all thing. Go ahead.
So I've been trying to understand the issue here. So the issue is that he's in the picture. I mean, I've seen the picture. He's like 3 rows back. He doesn't seem to be looking particularly mean like the people in the front are. Is the implication that he say he was like aggressive, like he was trying to keep them out? I don't understand I haven't followed it that much. I've seen the picture, but I don't understand what exactly he would apologize for.
This is a okay. So here's what it is. It's the racial. It's the victim offender dyad. Okay. So in criminology, we have the victim offender dyad, and it's a rubric or a construct that shows the discrepancies in the sentencings based on the race of the offender and the victim and the race of the victim. So what we've seen in the victim offender dyad of this recent social construct of the kangaroo court, we've seen Kyrie have to jump through a lot of hoops for things that is seemingly as benign as posting a movie, just posting the movie. Didn't say anything other than posting the movie. And I get all of the controversy about that, but I think that that's what we're talking about. We're talking about Stephen A's, he don't let up.
Hold on, I don't know what Stephen A did. I don't watch Stephen
all right,
A.
Let's go to the video. If we can just get like the first little bit of Stephen A just talking and the way he is talking about his affinity toward Jerry Jones. I believe it's early on in it. It's a little bit of a clip, but if you guys haven't seen it, for all of the vitriol that Stephen A had every day for Kyrie Irving, every day, when it comes down to Jerry Jones, it's different. It's markedly different.
Sure,
let's go.
Sure.
I'm the professor, and this is the moment of truth.
I do want to get into something real quick. On a serious note, you know, last week I brought up stuff about Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones being a 14-year-old or 15-year-old, depending on which report you believe in, how he was in North Little Rock High School. The picture, right? And there have been a lot of people that have been misconstruing my message, talking about I'm coming to Jerry Jones' defense. What was he doing this? And what I said was, it's a still picture of a 14-year-old from 66 years ago. I stand by what I said last week, but I only bring up that subject to say this. This ain't the necessary platform to go where I'm going to go in terms of some black folks in our community talking smack. And so there's certain things that I want to address. You know what? People run their mouths and they talk a lot of stuff with their podcasts and all of this other stuff. Yeah, I got a television show, but I got a podcast too. And I'm going to address this on my Wednesday podcast. And all I'm going to say is black on black. And you know what? I don't even know what white folks need to be listening with
For anyone who's ever wondered if these clowns you see on white media cable or the networks know about the black media, this was your answer. So Stephen from Django, Stephen Asinine.
So as you can see, is a whole bunch of tap dancing. Now, previously, the earlier clip last week was him saying, "I'm very, very fond of Jerry Smith and I'm Jerry Jones," and I'm like, Jerry Smith is Rick and Morty. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys, but the way he was playing a violin for this guy was really, it felt like Steven from Django. It just really felt like that energy. So my thing is this. Here's the issue that I'm having. I agree with everyone about the age, but here's my issue. The people, our people that had to walk through that sea of white, they had a level of courage because they had a level of fear, and they didn't have the time to figure out who was fucking there out of curiosity. The Rock could have come from anywhere. It could have come from right next to him. It could have come from him. It could have come from the back fucking row. So my thing is, how is it that Kyrie gets excoriated every fucking day for a movie that he's not even in, and Jerry Jones can be at the scene of the crime, and it doesn't matter that he's 14, because if you're curious, what are you curious about? You're curious because you know that there's the potential for some shit to go down, and we're talking about a still picture. But now we know in real time that still pictures, it be some shit that goes on after that and before that. So we can't just look at and just say for this split second you're innocent, because you're guilty by association, because this is not a circus show. This is not an exhibit. What were you going to do when some shit started happening? What do you do when my relatives can make eye contact with you? So I get what you're saying about the white guilt, but I'm like, his age ain't got nothing to do with it when this country has clearly executed black boys at 14 for whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's 2 years removed from Emmett Till, a 14-year-old who lost his life to that. Like what the fuck are we really talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, he should at the end of the day do a minimum. If you so down, if you so not racist, if you're such a unifier and you've done these things, be like, nah, these niggas made me money. I fuck with black people. That shit was wrong, and I shouldn't have been there. And as I grew, I evolved and didn't even associate with those people, and learn to grow and love people of all races. Like, fuck racism. Denounce that shit. But when you be all tiptoeing about this shit and everybody looking at like, well, he was 14, so what? Motherfucker, they killed a 14-year-old. So I'm saying, like, which one is it? Which one is it? So Are we all being held accountable to the same, or are we cherry picking? You know what I'm saying? Because it's a lot of people in the Jewish community that have done, you know what I'm saying, excuse me, in the German community that have done a lot for people in the Jewish community because of things that they feel bad about. But when it come to us, we can't never just fucking get I'm sorry, I shouldn't have been there. It was wrong. We can't never just fucking get the obvious. So I'm on a rant, but that's my thing about it. Like, come on, man. Give me something other than he's 14. Because when we're just 14, Tamir Rice was just 12. This young man was just 12 that lost his life at Atlantic Station. He shouldn't have been there. He shouldn't have been there. He's a child, but he was still doing adult things that cost him his life. So we cannot always negate just because someone's 14 that they don't have this understanding of right and wrong. That motherfucker knew. Why the fuck he didn't stay his ass in the classroom? If you so altruistic, if you just so opposite of you want to say that you're curious to see my people get intimidated and have rocks thrown at them?
Right.
Like, what the fuck are you curious about? This is what I'm saying. We can't let people get away with the language. Because you're telling me, I didn't really think it was a big deal. I just wanted to see the niggas on display. That's essentially what he's telling us. And then I learned how to make money off of putting niggas on display.
All right. I'm sorry, Rasheed didn't really get to
Yeah, I just have a hard time getting riled up on this. I think it's very different than the Kyrie situation. I think the Kyrie situation is overblown too. I think that I mean, he shared the video. The video had very, controversial content or whatever. I mean, I think, sharing is a statement, not necessarily pro, for, or against. But if you don't give a statement for or against, then people are going to infer what they infer, and what happens happens. I think that, and it's kind of similar, I guess, in that way. With, I mean, he's in the picture, and yes, there's a before and there's a after. But unless there's just something incriminating there, or he's like, or someone has said that he did something or whatever, I just don't believe that number one, I don't believe the nigga owe us no apology anyway for some shit 66 years ago. And yeah, I think his age doesn't matter, because yes, you do stupid shit when you're young. And I know when I was 14 years old in high school, if some crazy shit was going down, was a fight or whatever, we ran to that shit. We ran to, like, commotion. We ran to crazy shit. That's just what 14-year-old boys do, dumb shit. Again, I ain't saying he's not racist. I don't know. But I don't really care. And I guess that's a fundamental thing. I just don't care. And maybe I'm bad for not caring.
Yeah, well, I think that the other part is that, like the guy who did the video that we watched, there are a lot of people, man, that use things like this as an opportunity to make a name for themselves. And if it was me, let's talk about if it was Larry. Because I'm going to have to atone for a lot of things that I've done, and I'm already prepared to do that, for other reasons that will come out within the next year. If it was me, I would make a statement only for purposes of saying that it's not just about saying that I'm sorry or knowing that in my mind or my heart of hearts that I've done the right thing as a man, but also to be an example to other people, of atoning. That would be more of the reason that I would do it. I would know probably in my heart, like, hey, look, I'm sorry. I did not mean to do that, and I shouldn't have done it. The thing with, and I guess I'm not going to go into the political thing, but we've got older black men that refuse to denounce the positions that they take that are in direct contradiction to the things that we've taught. And so then I have to begin to look at the practicality of older men, let alone an older white billionaire who sits at the top of the food chain in the NFL, the probability of being unstubborn and saying that this is wrong. I mean, I sit in front of men, older black men all the time, and they can't denounce that this is not, that the Democratic Party doesn't stand for the things that it stood for. They just can't do it, man. I mean, it blows my mind, and so I'm not blaming them. I'm not putting them down, but I think that people know that the right thing to do in general is to say this was wrong. I shouldn't have done it. I was a part of it, and it's wrong.
When hasn't but we don't live. So number one, I just gotta let it out. I mean, shit like this, again, if there's no, like, actual offense here, and again, I can't, obviously I can't control what other people feel, and people feel offended by him being in the picture. They feel offended by him being in the picture with no other evidence, and that's certainly their right to believe that. But I would just say that, like, I mean, number one, I think a lot of this it feels like a lot of it. Now, I'm sure some people are very genuine in this. A lot of it feels like bad faith. And I would say that, like, I don't know that an apology, number one, I don't know what apology ain't atonement. Atonement, you have to actually do something. And my guess is that you have to, like, there has to be some restitution with atonement. There's a process where apology is kind of at the beginning, but that's just the beginning.
It's the catalyst.
That's not the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So, I see these types of things happen all the time, right? Where, like, somebody, like, gets a bad look or whatever. And some people may demand an apology or whatever. And I guess part of the problem is that so many people are coming from so many different directions that, like, I mean, an apology might satiate, like, 20% of them or 50% of them. I don't know. There's no universal social guarantee that an apology is going to mean a whole lot. Like I said, if he has something, I'm not a fan of just apologizing for like nothing.
Sure.
I'm apologizing for being in the picture. I apologize for being a stupid kid attracted to some bullshit.
Because he's a power player, though, would atonement serve as like an example to other people who have done this?
What would the atonement be? What does he owe?
I think that in general, I think that just good men in general, I think that all of us do it. I think good men in general say, I got this wrong that time, and I don't feel that way anymore.
Okay, I agree, and I think that's where the passion is coming from, right? The passion is coming from, on one hand, someone who has to do a battery of things just to like come back, you know what I'm saying? And didn't even really say anything, and was asked about it every day. Matter of fact, was asked about it so much to the point to where we couldn't even find out why Brett Favre was stealing money from the good people of Mississippi, because everything was about Kyrie. So, to you all's point, random white guy in a picture, right? In a historic scene, had it not been for the fact that someone happened to know who this person was, it really wouldn't have been a big deal, because the overall scene had already been painted. The scene was that of resistance to integrating the schools. And we look at it from a standpoint of, you have us and you have them. So anybody that looked like us was who you support. And if you look like them, automatically in that still shot, they just automatically appear as the enemy. So when you find yourself in a position of power and leadership 80 years later, to your point, you don't owe us an apology, but I do think to some extent it would, because people are saying the things that he's done for black people, right? It would make sense that he would show something outside of the financial reasons to do it, and just be like, you know what? That shit's fucked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, I shouldn't have been there. And what I witnessed that day, it really shaped my life. Like, you have the opportunity to do something different, and when you don't do it and everyone just be like, hey, well, you was 14, that's just where I just have a problem with the dismissive nature of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's it. Like, you don't have to do anything other than just use it as a teachable moment and just go from there. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. But it's just different with the way Kyrie has just been having the tap dance. You know what I'm saying? It's just so different, man. I don't know. It just don't feel right.
They're different people in different circumstances. I mean, Jerry Jones don't have a boss. He don't have and again, I mean, we can talk about privilege and wealth and white, black, all that sort of stuff. But I mean, that is what the owner of his team has decided he should do, and that's where he stands. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the owner of his team is Jewish. I'm pretty sure the owner of the Nets is Jewish. Certainly the head of the league is Jewish.
Both of which who came out and said that he wasn't anti-Semitic.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, like, Jews have, just like you said, like black people who look at that picture, they impute things into that picture. I'm sure Jews do too. Though certainly the Jews that we're talking about in this particular case are not hurting like I'd imagine a lot of black folks are hurting.
And that's the difference.
I don't necessarily think Kyrie owes it for what Kyrie did. I mean, I'm starting to see the similarity just in that, like, Kyrie could have said something, I guess. Like, people got offended for reasons that people get offended. Kyrie could have clarified or whatever. I know he said some statements that people thought didn't necessarily, and again, just like Jerry Jones has said some statements that clearly people don't think necessarily add up to the correct response. Y'all know me. I don't get super hyped up on this sort of stuff.
We know. We try to rile you up, goddammit. Like, we really be trying, and nothing works. Nothing works. This guy is unshakable.
I would have one other question to ask, and then we can move forward. But I will say this: there are some people who are seen as like habitual troublemakers who are going to get hammered a lot. period, and Kyrie is kind of one of those people, but they have to keep him around because he has value.
Yes.
I mean, and then we could get that. There's a number of instances where, whether it's Ray Rice and Colin Kaepernick or Michael Vick and Kobe Bryant, where people who have relevant value have staying power as opposed to people who don't. We can get into that. But
all the people that you mentioned though are different from Kyrie. Kyrie is not a criminal, bro. Like you can't associate. Like that's a stretch.
Well,
right
but
there.
what I agree with you. I agree with you, Mark. But I would say, well, sorry, go ahead and finish, Laris, and I'll add on.
But there's one person that I would love to ask this question, and we don't have a platform big enough to ask them. But I would love for somebody to say, Joe, he made these statements. Joe Biden, Jerry Jones made these statements. How do you feel about, the statements that he made or the position that he took on something? I would just love to hear what Joe Biden would say, because then his answer to that would tell us a whole lot about whether or not he's apologetic for statements that he has made, even more recent, or legislation that's even more recent than that he has drafted himself. But I'm not going to go there today.
Well, I think you just went there. But I would just say, I'll add one more thing on. I'll add one more thing onto the Kyrie thing, which I think is probably the main reason for the pile on the Kyrie. I think it's because the professional media class has a certain set of narratives that they believe in, and Kyrie flaunted one hardcore last year, which is the vaccine narrative. And I think that there's a whole lot of just general dislike for Kyrie in that class of people that's able to gin up these stories. And so they're just going to, any opportunity to have to pile on to Kyrie, they're going to pile on to him because he didn't stay in line with that thing. And that was like an article of faith at the time, particularly among the type, you know, the types, progressive, highly educated, Ivy League, like they worship that. I got work with a lot of them, and they could not say, it was funny to me how they couldn't ever say the word vaccine. They would always say life-saving vaccine.
And then
you would think that was the brand, was life-saving.
And then most recently, the World Health Organization just came out, and they had to say that the deaths of COVID, they've been the vaccinated. The vaccinated have exceeded the unvaccinated in COVID deaths, right? And you got these blood clots that are popping up because people weren't aspirating the needles. So you got to aspirate a needle when you give a vaccine. But if it's just some shit you just trying to run out there on people, you know how many blood clots people were given accidentally from non-aspirated needles and vaccines? Like, for real, like, it's a lot of shit going on here.
Well, and then the Hollywood hero, they're the NBA Hulk Hogan, who Kyrie is the antithesis to, is LeBron
and
James.
That was my other point. Flat Earth, and I don't want to play with LeBron. It started him being the loose nail. It started that started him being a loose nail right there. You know who he is to me? He is the continuation of Adrian Foster from the NFL. Y'all remember Adrian Foster? He was a running back, played for the Texans. He was like super zen, you know what I mean? I think he was interviewing like politicians and stuff, and he was just really on like this, you know, like this esoteric kind of existential type of journey. And I think Kyrie, as soon as Kyrie started talking about like flat earth and kind of stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's when people automatically started to put him in a particular category. So it was easy the vaccine shit was easy. He had already created the framework for you to make him that villain. And then to have LeBron come back, this is the most incredible part. LeBron comes back and says, I find it funny that you guys haven't asked me about Jerry Jones yet, but you all have asked me. You ask me every day about Kyrie. Every day it was about Kyrie. And here it is with the Jerry Jones situation, something that seemingly is affecting my people, and you guys don't want to say anything. And he's like, I'll wait. You guys don't have to say anything. And I felt like that was apropos, because I feel like LeBron has been getting some deserved criticism Oh yeah, we do got another video. Let's go to it. You wanna run this? Let's run this next video.
Ready.
Weekend's deadly shooting near Atlantic Station. The mother of the 12-year-old boy shot and killed says her son was troubled and her calls to get him help went unanswered.
I tried, y'all. I called the police office almost 30 times. 30 times in the last 2 years. They told me they can't do nothing.
That is De'Erica Charles, the mother of 12-year-old Zion Charles. Yesterday, she addressed the Atlanta Public Safety Committee, saying Zion was running with a bad crowd and breaking into cars. A week before his death, she says she begged police to intervene, but they said they couldn't. Saturday night, her son Zion was killed in a shooting near Atlantic Station. 5 other teens were hurt. So far, police have not publicly identified any suspects, but say they have identified some of the young people who were there and will start issuing warrants soon. During yesterday's meeting, Atlanta City Council member Keisha Waits recommended a 7 p.m. citywide curfew for those 17 years old and younger.
I believe that this is another tool, given the shortage that we have in terms of law enforcement, that this will be another tool in their toolbox.
Man. Y'all, man, my apologies for that Kyrie rant, man. It's just a passionate subject, man. But hey, this video, 12-year-old Atlantic Station shot, killed on a Saturday night. What's up, man? I know you had a lot. I sent this to you. There's a lot of reasons. I like to send you stuff throughout the week to rile you up. You know what I'm saying? And this one in particular, I know it had you. I know this was your wheelhouse right here.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, man, this is like the alley-oop, ball alley-oops for what it is that we kind of stand for. And I said this, respect for authority comes oftentimes from the father. Now, sometimes the father can't be there, but when the father wasn't there, at some point there was enough of abilities to at least supplement the father not being there, whether grandfathers, uncles, whatever. Now we don't have, or neighbors' fathers. My father was seen as a father figure to some of my friends growing up. My father would say to us, if you do not respect your mother, I'm going to get a piece of your ass when I get home. Now, of course, when we were children, this sets the standard, right? And from there on, you begin to respect teachers, you begin to respect police officers, and just adults in general, your elders. And the reason why this was a big deal is because I think it was the Atlanta City Councilwoman who wanted to invoke the curfew. And it just appears to me that they are willing to do anything other than say that the man needs to be reinstalled in the home. Now, I want you to look at the party that these people stand for. I'm going to leave it alone because I know that we've got another piece to do as well. But, I mean, anything except saying that we got this wrong, then we need the fathers back in the home.
It's kind of cringy. It's cringy to see this sister up here expressing how many times she called the police on her son, right? You didn't really hear her say anything else. You didn't hear her say, I tried to get him counseling. I went to the school to talk to his teacher. You know what I'm saying? Like you didn't really hear anything other than I just tried to just make him a ward of the state. You know what I'm saying? So when I look at that, I'm like, I'm kind of stunned because I've kind of witnessed this. I've witnessed parents that are, they're exhausted. And I'm like, but why are you exhausted? Because you didn't start off exhausted. So it feels kind of weird to me when I hear a mother who should be crying over the loss of her child. She's crying over the fact that the police didn't come lock him up when she called him over 30 times. That's not help. What do you think he's going to learn in there when he gets locked up? You think he's going to learn how to do that algebra problem? Was he going to learn how to be a more efficient or just a more routine or frequent criminal? Like, I don't really understand what that purpose was. Like, I heard her say everything but I wanted to find him a mentor. Like, nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like none of that. I don't get it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? I think as black people, man,
And
just
did she think that it was going to be a female police officer? Is that what she was hoping for?
bruh, I don't know. Like that's weird to lose your son in a senseless act of violence when he definitely should have been at home with you, and then you come out and you deflect the accountability and say, well, y'all ain't come get him when I called. Like that's just like I can't get down with that shit, man. Like I just can't, because it's just as much. It's just as much. If we're gonna say that she's a single mom, and we're gonna be like, yeah, she's a single mom, and not having his dad is a part of this happening too, then that shit, she's a part of this shit too. Like, how do you get on there?
You can't say that though.
No, I'm saying it. Everybody should be embarrassed. If you saw that shit should have embarrassed you. It should have embarrassed you, because that's the solution. Like, that's your solution. Your son got killed, and it's almost like he was no good anyway. Like, that's really like the sentiments. And this was a son. This was your son.
So if that's the case, think about how much easier it is for women to, if a mother will utilize the justice system against her son, think about how much easier it is for a vengeful woman to use the justice system against a man.
There's a video floating around right now of an argument between a husband and a wife, and she's up here putting on a what she feels like is an Oscar-worthy performance. Which when someone's being petty and acting like someone, like, real danger is real danger. You feel the adrenaline when someone's in real danger. You know what I'm saying? This woman was just like, oh, he's chasing me, he has a gun. Like, she's really, really trying to get this dude lit up. And dude's like, no, I'm recording you. We're having an argument. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
you can't argue with him.
It's like you
can go to jail for that.
There's nothing. It's like, so what do we? You know what I mean? So what do we do? Because I don't lack empathy for the mother who's lost her son. Like, I don't lack empathy. But it's like, at what point is it okay for everyone to be accountable? You know what I'm saying? Like, that shit's just embarrassing. It's sad. It's embarrassing. We're still trying to figure out what's going on. What happened to the sister out there in Mexico? You know what I'm saying? We're still like, it's shock after shock after shock. And then she's just like, well, I was calling the police and they wouldn't take him. Like, goddamn.
Well, Martin Luther King Jr., so that I'm clear, said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so the problem is that not enough good men have been caught up by the wrath of revenge and the utilization of the system. And until that happens, and it will, the good thing is that it will happen, because we're doing what we're doing. I've done what I've done. I've taken these hits, these bumps, these bruises, because the Republican Party, to a degree, is at least trying to establish more rights for men. And by even reaching out to us in the first place, people can say, no, they're not. Well, no, they are passing laws that hold women accountable. And what I'm saying to that is that until it happens to you, and because things getting worse, hey, look, we got brothers fighting us. That's okay. King was right. Until it happens to you, and you've been a good man, and somebody don't like the way that you dealt with them based off of how they dealt with you, and then you find yourself in hell, /jail, then there won't be any meaningful change, because y'all think that this is a joke. You think it's a joke, and it's not a joke. We have to have equal protection under the law. And I have had plenty of women say, well, we don't have rights. Listen, man, I was locked up with a dude, man, that was locked. I didn't even know that verbal assault was a charge for yelling at his child's mother in public.
I mean, there are very specific things you have to yell to get verbal assault. You don't get it just from yelling. You have to make particularly insidious remarks that could make a person feel like you are about to imminently put them in harm.
Which is crazy because that can range anywhere from disorderly conduct to terroristic threats. You know what I'm saying? So
depends on how they write it up.
Right. So verbal assault is that's like the median. It's like we'll start here. Like, now, how did you call her a bitch exactly?
Yeah, well, I mean, you've described half the legal code there.
Okay, all right, so here you go. So you're here now. Yeah, I'm here now. So what happened? Well, I got upset, and he wouldn't let me do this, that, and the other. They'd be like, you okay? You got any injuries or anything? No. Where's he at now? He's gone. But something needs to happen. So you're safe, you're okay, you came here on your own recognizance. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, all I'll say here is that, I mean, and I'll probably repeat myself for the 800th time here, but I mean, it's just basically it's a breakdown of social norms and mores to the point where all we have to rely on is the law. We don't have the internal discipline as a culture and as a community to do the right thing, to be the right person, to make right decisions, to be worthy of somebody's trust. A lot of us, and it creates a lot of broken relationships, it creates a lot of broken kids, and you know, the fallback becomes a state because there's no community. There's clearly no. I mean, all those people standing around it, nobody could help her.
Bro, that's what I was thinking. I was like, all the mentors were standing behind you, right there.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny. I may have told y'all the story. When I used to do a lot of public safety work with APD, matter of fact, I was talking to our Zone 5 Major Tom, who's now the chief of police in Atlanta. And I remember him telling me about how they would get calls from parents to, like, force their kids to do homework. He was like, you would not believe how many calls we get like that from, like, parents who are trying to get us to parent for them. Like, that's where things are. And, you know, I never believed, but I mean, this is like a testament to that you're calling the cops to help raise your kid. It's a problem.
But it's gotten so bad to where even recently, and I've got to get the name, even a female judge, a black female judge, came out and recently said, I am so tired of y'all sending these brothers in front of us for these things. It's happening.
It's like the ticky tack stuff has been going on for a really, really long time. There's a lot of stuff that is codified or however they want to say it. It's a lot of stuff that's in there that, I mean, whatever people, however people want to say it, we're just looked at just a little bit differently when it comes to that. And you know, not as well as I know, people just they just adapt to it. They just adapt to it. If we know how well we right here on Cleveland Ave, we know how well people adapt to just shit all the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, we know. In the education system, we get it. It's like at some point, you gotta just step back and be like, I can't run to them to raise my kid, and then when they kill my kid, I'm like, I want justice for them killing my kid. Like, we have to see that there's something very, very flawed with that, with, you know what I'm saying, with that kind of paradigm. So you're calling the police, and then when they kill your kid, then you want to march on the police and sue the police and put the police in jail. They don't give a fuck about your kids. They don't. They don't give a fuck about your kid no more than the firefighter gives a fuck about the kitten in the fucking tree. Like, it's like it doesn't work like that. If anything, they're going to use tactics to get your child in the system. So now your child got a damn record. Like, we just gotta do better with this shit, man. We gotta do better with it.
Yeah, I'll say one other quick thing about Keisha Waits and the whole citywide curfew thing. And I mean, that is just the fact that's what happens at the end of moral decay, which is that these politicians know that they can't actually change anything. They know they can't legislate better parenting. So they reach out for what they have, which is like their coercive ability. So they're going to coerce all the kids. Now, number one, most kids ain't like this. You know what I'm saying? The overwhelming majority of kids are not like this. Just like the overwhelming majority of black men ain't out here doing this bullshit either. You know what I'm saying? So they want to bring down. They want to coerce everybody into their terrible solution because, like you said, I mean, it's partially that they can't admit it because to admit it it's just like a teacher. A teacher, we have all this stuff around like accountability for teachers in classrooms, but teachers don't have a lot of control over, their worst performing students because it's the same fucking problem. You know what I'm saying? And so you just like a teacher or teachers unions or whatever, they can't say that. they will come up with all sorts of additional things, additional funding and more computers and time at the school and social workers and that sort of stuff, which may help on the margins, just like this curfew might help on the margins. But at the end of the day, neither can concede the control that they don't have. The teachers can't just be like, y'all just need to raise your fucking kids better. They can't say that. Keisha Waits can't say, y'all need to raise your fucking kids better. All that she can do is operate within the limited powers that she has, which are all coercive, and as a result of that, can't actually create any sort of enduring change. All it can do is create an environment, a hostile environment that, as Monk said, people will adjust to. They'll go to Decatur or whatever, you know what I'm saying? They'll get fake IDs, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't actually solve the problem, which is the whole problem with leaning on government to do this stuff anyway.
Yeah, boy. Hey, man, what a time to be alive, man. So, apparently there, just a quick recap. Goddamn Mariota don't look like he's gonna be the answer to this year. I just want to throw that out there just a little bit.
Definitely not the answer.
Fifth Ward Cam arrested on gun possession the night that Takeoff was killed. Not being labeled as a suspect, but definitely arrested on a gun possession charge because a witness has put him at the scene as a felon with a gun. He has been arrested. If anything is going to happen, who knows? We may never know, but this is the update on Takeoff. And apparently there has been an arrest made on extradition or a writ for an extradition by the Mexican government and works with the FBI to get Deshanae Jackson to Mexico, you said what? They called her? Now, it's been going back and forth. Did they ask for her? Did they wanted her to be extradited? You seen video of her in cuffs? Have you seen photo? If I ain't seen no video, if it's a high profile case, you gonna see some video footage of somebody getting locked up. You gonna see it. So that's what I'm saying. Until we see it, I don't know if this young lady's been locked up, but definitely I hope that this comes to a swift conclusion and justice is discerning yet mighty, I should say. And yeah, man, anything else that you wanted to go over? I think we pretty much kind of caught up in the world of you gonna encourage people to go vote?
I mean, at this point, if I'm so tired, hell, if you ain't did it by now, I'm scared. If you don't have it in your head by now that we need change, I'm scared. I'm scared, man. But I'm also hopeful at the same time. So we'll see what happens. See if our hard work is paid off.
Yeah, man, we definitely appreciate you doing what you do. You know what I mean? Pretty soon we're gonna see you giving an acceptance speech as alderman in Lilburn. You're gonna be alderman on the HOA squad. You know what I'm saying? Rake your damn leaves. You gotta start somewhere.
Yeah, you never know, man. I mean, they've got high hopes for me, so we'll see what happens.
All right, man. We appreciate y'all. Hey, man, welcome to December. It's the last month of the year. Y'all get to it, man. Take some momentum into the new year, not after the new year. And you'll definitely thank yourself for it. East Point, smoke some dank.
Old National got the skanks.
Everybody, we out here.